Hey guys, it's Max Convexity. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Let's look at these profit boxes for tomorrow and see what we have lined up. All right, here's NDX. This is what the QQQY managers trade. You see this profit box has very little extrinsic, tons of intrinsic. So they're making a bullish bet or an aggressive, well obviously it's a bullish bet, it's always a bullish bet, an aggressive bet. Let's just say that. Let's see if the spreadsheet backs up what I just said. So they got 111 points for the option. Yesterday they got 133, but 111 is still pretty good. 111 is the second most they've ever got since I've been watching this. I mean, it's a huge amount of premium. Nothing like 133, but anyway, or it's, 10% less. All right, so they sold the option at the 17,220 level, so you have to subtract 111 from 17,220, and you get 17,109. All right, so that's the magic number. We got to at least be 17,109 tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Intrinsic 82 points, extrinsic 28. Yesterday was also a huge number. One thing I will say, on days when we're in free fall, maybe that we don't know exactly where they placed the order, and the market was moving down pretty aggressively at the end of the day. So maybe they put the order in, and then after they put the order in, the market slipped another certain amount and made the extrinsic look smaller than it really is, because maybe the close wasn't right on, maybe the trade wasn't right on the close, and maybe the market moved quite a bit after they made the trade. That's my guess. In any event, though, we'll take it. We just need a win tomorrow. How about that? So they're going for 1.7. All right. Or 11 cents a share. Let's check out SPX. This is what JEPY trades. The profit box looks about the same. All right. It also looks like a aggressive play. So these guys sold options at the 48.65 level, and they got $24.32. So you have to subtract $24.32 from 48.65, and you end up with 48.40. Really, maybe 48.41. So we need 48.41 or greater tomorrow. All right, so these guys are going for 576,000, 9 cents a share. All right, so let's check out the last one, which is RUT. This is what IWMY trades. All right, their profit box has a little more extrinsic. Just visually looking at it, it looks a little bit more proportional. And I'll also say this, it's supposed to be here. So yeah, that actually doesn't, that assumes the order was made right on the close. When it's dropping fast, they may have placed the order up here and it dropped in the last 5 minutes. It could have dropped further. Or sometimes in the last 5 minutes, it bounces like a crazy amount. But in any event, it can mess up exactly what the true extrinsic and true intrinsic is. Doesn't mean it's not still important. I'm keeping track of it. Hey, Jax, knock it off, buddy. All right, so let's look at Trace. TRES had a really nice day today. It's up 10,400 or 8 cents a share. Let me show it to you on the option simulator. The option simulator shows it being up more. The option simulator shows it being up 19.6. And I looked at how they arrived at that number. On one of these numbers over here, they had the number was bid at 325, asked at 310. Okay, we own that option, so I went to price it to see how much it's worth now. Well, when you sell something, you're going to have to take the bid. I mean, you don't have to, but more likely than not, you're going to get the bid, or maybe in between, but probably even closer to the bid, especially when you're a small retail trader. So I just assume, to be conservative, that you buy on the ask and sell on the bid. So it makes these simulations I'm doing more realistic. But I think the computer just figured the 19,000, and that's if you could. That's if you got the ask, which I don't think that's realistic. So anyway, that's the difference for the discrepancy, or the reason for the discrepancy. But in any event, this trade's working out really nice. You can see that Valley of Death is kind of growing. Let's look at the Valley of Death box. Boy, this thing shot up today. The Valley of Death box, to be a true depiction of it, I need to find a way to make it grow. Maybe I'll just layer it. But if you look at the Valley of Death right now, it starts at 95.38. So it's growing on us. I'm not even going to take it off there because it doesn't get out of it enough. So it's 95.3 to 89.2. Maybe I'll just do this. I mean, well, I don't know how to do this. 95.3. I guess what I could do is go like this. Well, that damn valley's growing. They need to cover this trade. It still goes this far, so that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll just layer a new box in on top of the old box. All right. Well, anyway, that old Valley of Death's growing, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's look at the daily tracking error. All right, on the daily tracking error, iSpy was the big winner out of the S&P funds. Of course, none of them did great, with the S&P being down at 1.6, but iSpy was, or actually iSpy was the worst. I take that back. I was thinking this is a profit. Yeah, iSpy was the worst. Actually, the best was JEPI. My gosh, I'm sorry about that. I've been looking at these numbers too long. iSpy, we're actually going to give them a red mark. Okay, well, let's look over here at JEPQ. Now, none of these should be good, with the freaking index being down 1.94. QQQY was the worst. Great job, guys. Great job, guys. JEPQ wasn't real far behind. QYLD, which is usually the worst, actually looks the best today. It's just one day. If you haven't seen it already, watch my tracking error show. I'm getting ready to re-record it because I found it's a long story, but I'm going to re-record it and repost it, and it'll be out tomorrow. And it's a really good show. I found some really interesting stuff. I look at the tracking error for the whole month. All right, I'm just looking at it for the day today. Then I'm going to let you guys go, and then I'll make that other show. I'll re-record it and repost it with the new and better information. All right, so on this one, RYLD was the big winner. Well, it shouldn't really surprise us since, and it does because they suck, but it shouldn't really surprise us. Checks to be quiet, because QYLD was a big winner over here. So it was a big day for the Global X funds. They didn't fall as far as the other funds did. All right, so back over here, I just gave everyone a green, because when the market's down as big as it is, anything that you're doing that's less than the market, look at OARC. I mean, ARC was down 3%. OARC was down 2%. That's a huge difference. That's 33% buffer. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's what we would expect. I mean, Coney, Coinbase down 2%. Coney down 0.5%. I mean, that's freaking awesome. So these worked as designed today, with the exception of DISO. Disney was down 0.92, and DISO was down 1.5. It's not supposed to work that way. This one caught more downside. Now, it's just a one-day thing, and who knows why. I'm going to keep an eye on it. But other than that, all these other ones worked as designed. And in fact, InFly outperformed the benchmark, or the parent asset. Sky looked good, got about 25% less downside. I mean, that's good. GUI, I mean, GUI looked terrible. Google was down 7.5%, but GUI was down, GUI got 15% less downside. Or you could say GUI caught 85% of Google's downside. I like to look at the number from the buffer point of view, so I use the inverse. I say that GUI had a 15% buffer. XOMO, I mean, that's a great buffer right there. Goop, nice buffer. A huge buffer on MSFY. Anyway, the single stocks actually held up better today than the indexes did. I hate to say that. It doesn't happen often, but they held up really good today. To tell you the truth, I'm disappointed with the results of QQQY. It should have way more buffer than that. This is just one day, but they typically get more buffer than that. That's disappointing to me. And I'm disappointed that the Global X funds beat my freaking, beat my Defiance funds. I will say this, though. IWMY out of the Defiance funds was a standout. Look at this. Only caught 1.2% downside instead of the benchmark catching 2.45. I mean, that's really good. That is really good. Let me do a little sneak peek of what I have coming. I have a new tracking error sheet with charts, and I have all the prices in here. I copied this off a person in my Discord named Corey, and she actually has a YouTube channel also, and she is a spreadsheet expert. She's one of the best people I've ever seen on a spreadsheet. Her spreadsheets are so beautiful. So anyway, she's really good. Well, she shared a link with me because I was struggling, and she made a grid, and it looked kind of like this. Hers looked nicer and has colors, but I copy and pasted her grid, and then I made another page of formulas of stuff that I'm interested in. I know it looks like a mess, and then I have more formulas here. But anyway, what I'm doing is I'm tracking the tracking the tracking error. Like in this one, you can see that this is all the S&P high yield funds, and what it is, I believe it's a 15-day. Yeah, it's a 15-day running look. So like it takes the price of iSpy, and then it takes the price of it 15 days ago, and right here it was up 6.04%. So you can see like over the course of 3-week period, which one's doing the best. The benchmark right here, SPX. I always put the bench in blue. I hate how this blue's too close of a shade, but anyway, the benchmark usually leads, and that's usually what you would expect. Now, so this is a 15-day rolling look. Here's a 5-day rolling look, and on the 5-day rolling look, iSpy again is killing it. iSpy catches a lot of upside. But there's SPX. SPX is ahead of everything else. You can see it's really tied on the 5-day. On the 5-day, they all pretty much trade together, but SPX is ahead of them because SPX has no buffer. The one that appears to have the most buffer would be probably QQQY or JEPY is what I'm guessing. I can't get it to. Well, SPY looks good. Anyway, it just depends on what time frame you look at. And here's the daily percentage changes. So I may stop tracking those. That's not very instructive, but that you can kind of see the trends developing there. So then you can look at it on NVIDIA also. Like here's the 5-day rolling change of NVIDIA. I could even take moving averages, but I don't think I want to do that. I just think going back 5 days and charting plotting the change. Here's going back 15 days and plotting the change. So you can clearly see the benchmark does better, and that's what we would expect because you get buffered performance in these covered call funds. Now, NVIDIA still looks really good, up 10% for the month, and you can see how it follows it right up. So here's Amazon, AMZP, and AMZY. Here's the 5-day of that average. I had a problem with I'm still working on this spreadsheet. I'll fix all I'm going to fix all the legends and stuff. This one's supposed to say what it is. I don't know why I didn't do that this time. Anyway, the blue's the benchmark. We know that Amazon's doing better than AMZP or AMZY. I wish it would tell us which one is which here. I'll fix all that stuff. I'm not rolling this out officially until tomorrow anyway. I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. Anyway, I think it's going to make the tracking error report a little better. Here's the Apple. You know, here's Apple. Here's Google. Benchmark leading the way, but the other ones look good. Here is Microsoft with their high yield funds. There's a problem there, evidently. That's ExxonMobil and XOMO. Here's Tesla, and TSLP. Look how closely those trade together. Now, that's a daily change. Here's a 5-day change. Well, I had a problem there. Here's a 15-day change. Had a problem there. I'll fix all this stuff, and I mainly just wanted to chart the indexes, but it's too fun to look at everything. But yeah, in the S&P, iSpy's killing it. They are absolutely killing it, catching tons of upside. We'll see how they do whenever the market hits a lot of downside. I don't think they'll do as well. And I'm also going to be curious to see what kind of dividend they're able to pay. They're selling options that appear to be so far out of the money, it doesn't appear like they'd be getting very much premium to pay a dividend with. I will say this, though. I heard they were going to declare their dividend, I think, tonight. Or maybe it's tomorrow. Anyway, I'll go look for it, and I'll report in as soon as I find out what it is. You guys have a wonderful evening. Oh, let's look. You want to look at futures real quick? I always forget to look at futures. All right, futures are up. I mean, they're bouncing. I mean, still within the down channel. But it's up 0.4 of a point. I mean, here's S&P futures up 1/4 point. Look at Russell futures almost up a point, or it's up 3/4 of a point. That's a heck of a bounce. And hopefully this is just a one-day, a one-off deal. I mean, I sure hope it was. Let's take another look. Yeah, I just hope that was a one-day look. This was such a bull trap up here. Usually, typically what I do, one thing to look at is when you can get something to close outside of the Bollinger Bands on whatever time frame you're trading on, it means it's pretty strong. And this bar closed outside the Bollinger Bands. Sure enough, the next couple bars blew up. But then that day ended, and the next day started. And anyway, and then you had the reverse momentum. It's a momentum strategy or whatever, but you got a bearish momentum strategy right here at 10:30 this morning when this bar closed outside of the Bollinger Bands. And then sure enough, it bounced a little, but then, you know, at 1 o'clock, you had another one close outside, and then it turned into a bloodbath at 2 and 2:30. So we'll see. What I'm hoping, though, is I'm hoping this is a bear trap in the same way this was a bull trap, and this momentum trade didn't really turn into momentum. I'm hoping this one doesn't turn into momentum too. It happens all the time, especially when the market's up pretty strong like it has been this year so far, and in the late part of last year. Like over here, you got a momentum sell signal and it didn't turn into anything. So lots of times you get one and it doesn't turn into a multi-day. It doesn't turn into a multi-day thing. Now here's the last time it did, and that was on January 10th. At least in the Russell, but you did get a momentum sell signal that did actually turn into a 3-day drop. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I'll be back in the morning and we'll see where we open up. I'll try to report in about 9 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great evening.